Hey guys, 5 years. You heard that right. UrbanClap is completing 5 long years this 10th of November. Today, let's take you to meet the men who made it possible.
We are here today with not one, not two, but the 3 co-founders of UrbanClap, Abhiraj Singh Bhal, Varun Khaitan and Raghav Chandra. Let's hear them take us through the last 5 years journey and what is the way forward. To begin with, Varun, how did the entire idea of UrbanClap come together?
This was early 2014, then when me and Abhiraj were both in Delhi. I had just moved back from the US because both of us had decided to leave our then jobs at Boston Consulting Group and start a company together. And at that time, we started with a very different idea. It was a on-demand movie streaming when people are traveling on buses and trains in India. So we left our jobs and did that for a couple of months. And that idea didn't quite work out, and we shut that down in a couple of months. But it made us realize that the reason we became entrepreneurs was we wanted to create a business for the next 20 years, and we wanted to create something which millions of people in India will use. Their lives will become better because of our company. So I think the true purpose of creating a company became clear to us when the first company did not work. So we started looking at new ideas. That's when we met Raghav. He had also shut his first company, sort of realized the same things, why he wanted to build a business. So we three bonded on what kind of company we wanted to build and not on an idea. And then I think next 3-4 months were a lot of fun. We just kept meeting every day in each other's homes, then in co-working spaces, and we would spend all day going out and meeting customers of all different types, trying to see what is the biggest problem in India that we can solve. And very systematically, I think over 2-3 months, we realized that the whole personal and home services in India is very broken. Consumers really want a better way of buying services. And we somehow felt very passionate towards this idea compared to a few others that came up. We saw a world 4-5 years out where people would buy services very, very easily. We would create a company which would make it super simple. You come to an app and you're able to find any service that you need, and service professionals who have skills can make good amount of money. That was all we thought, and we knew that this is going to happen in India, and if we can do it, then we would feel very happy and successful about it. That was UrbanClap.
Thank you, Varun. So I think, Raghav, when you met them, what was the vision like 5 years back, and has it changed over time?
I think really initial days it was, as Arun said, more about what kind of a company you want to be at. We used to have a lot of brainstorming around all kinds of spaces, right from leather products to really, really high-tech fin solution, and then like UrbanClap in the middle. And rolling back to the first year when we started off, we wanted to build a marketplace where, and we were very specific about broadly services, and at that point I think we started off with 10 services in our first iteration itself, and this spanned the whole world of what we thought services meant then. Right, it had yoga instructors, wedding planners, plumbers, beauticians, and then at that point actually we had a lead gen model. We had a very lightweight model where people would just sign up, create their account, we would introduce people to a few. A customer would come in, we would introduce them to 4 or 5 professionals, and the world would be happy. But since then, I think we've come a long way. Very quickly, we realized, it's not just simply putting up a website and adding both sides onto a database. Experience matters a lot, right? And we got this learning fairly early on in our journeys. So we went from a pure lead gen marketplace to saying, hey, can we actually book a professional for a particular time? And from that point, we said, hey, now the professional is going to come. How do we improve the quality for a beautician who's coming into someone's house? How can they deliver the best experience, right? Better than the offline salon experience which someone has to live with, right? How do we make sure the products which are available for the beautician or for the plumber or for the AC technician is at par or better than the offline experience? Right? So I think that vision has changed quite drastically for us. Today, in fact, we do 100% of professionals living through UrbanClap. And these professionals are professionals who would be probably at a 20,000 rupee salary point in the offline sector, working really hard. 80%, 70% of what they actually generate goes to the business. But on UrbanClap, because those layers don't exist, it's direct business to the professionals. We partner together. We're able to do a lot more. We're able to accomplish a lot more. So the vision for us now is to scale this. We have about 20,000 professionals in the next 3 to 5 years, scale this to about 1 million professionals across India in the categories we operate in, and do it where customer experience, which we deliver, matters the most.
Thank you, Varun. Thank you, Raghav. So if you look back in the olden days, speaking of memories, I would like each one of you tell me something that you really remember even now, one of your fondest memories, starting with you, Viraj.
From the olden days.
Yeah.
I think, in the early periods, everything is very exciting, right? So I remember, I guess, the first time when, we got a term sheet from SAF partners who wanted to invest $1 million. I mean, and, we sort of played very, very straight face, but I think, I had not thought that anybody would give us $1 million, right? And it probably was like, over time in general, I think the journey of entrepreneurship keeps the highs lower and the lows higher. So you operate in a spectrum. But I think in the early days, a lot of fond memories and, a lot of things would get you a lot of excitement and euphoria, fundraising, milestone of hitting certain number of service professionals, some key person gets hired. I remember the first anniversary that we had like a grand party, like a really grand party. And I had invited, and I was audacious enough to invite the who's who. I had invited Vijay Shekhar Sharma and Deep Kalra, and none of them actually came. But they all wrote back and said, amazing, UrbanClap is only 1 year old. It's too good. Like, it was fun times. Yeah.
I think lots of amazing things have happened and many more yet to happen. One thing comes to mind which also gave birth to our full stack business model that we operate today. So back in the day, we would have companies who would send professionals, and we had about 7-8 months into the company launched the plumbers, electricians, carpenters category. It was not there in the beginning because we thought that category is going to be very hard to operate. Like, how will you get people to go on time and do the right job? It's seemingly the most unprofessional people. And we started, and yes, it was not working. For the first few months, customers would say, I booked a plumber, he has not come. We would call the company, and the company would say, oh, I also don't know where the plumber is. Let me figure out, and then I will get back to you, and then you get back to the customer. And then we did that for a few months, and then one day we decided, let's actually go and spend some time in this company's office to see what do they do. Like, why can't they just send people on time? And we went to one of our aggregators, and it was basically a room this big where there were some 10 people on the phones, and they had 20 plumbers, electricians, carpenters. So one person was basically on the phone managing 2 people on the ground and just making sure that this person goes from house A to house B. Is like, हाउस ए पहुंच के फ़ोन करना, फिर बताना कितना टाइम लगेगा, फिर जॉब ख़त्म करने पे फ़ोन करना, फिर मैं नेक्स्ट जॉब बताऊंगा, फिर फ़ोन करना. It was like basically the personal assistant of 2 plumbers. And we realized that this company is doing nothing. They are basically without technology 10 people managing 20 people. And we took that giant leap of faith to say, hey, let's remove all of this. Let's trust that these people can manage themselves on their own. And we initially gave actually some of them smartphones as well. And the first time we launched the category full stack, and over the first week, actually nothing broke. Everything worked perfectly, and we were all extremely surprised. And I think this is just a very small example of how we have always taken a bet on the capability of honest professionals in India to do things well if they are trusted and they see benefit. And I think after that, once that was done, we have, I think, never
at every such moment in the future, we have always said, just let's do the hard thing and let's trust our professionals to figure things out, and they will.
Raghav, what's yours?
So many. Actually, I'm going to roll back to our first year, and this is like, I think this probably captures early startup ethos of just bias to action, going to market really quickly. So, probably exactly the same day 5 years ago, we actually had no product. Right, we were developing things as every hour there would be some product which would be developed. Varun and Abhiraj would go out there in the market, get hold of actual professionals, right? But how did it really work on day one? And I have this very sharp memory on us being in Khan market, literally around this time, and we were trying to get requests. We were trying to get a customer for yoga, probably the first customer for yoga or something, and we're literally asking every person. And it's an awkward question to ask, right? Easier said than done. And we're really trying to figure out, as newbies, like, how do I tell you to get a yoga instructor? And we didn't really have a yoga company, so people would ask which company you'd be from. Like, we just 3 engineers. And I think this was really the inception. It used to take a day to get a customer. We'd get a customer, we'd run back, like Abhiraj, Varun would go out, try to figure out yoga professionals. And in the meantime, I'll try to basically add a little feature on the website so that the professional can be seen. And that's pretty much how we ran our first few weeks till we got a certain cadence. We had no money to spend, so we could not just go on Facebook and spend money at that point. Yeah.
So I think we've come a long way from the past 5 years. Varun, my question to you would be, did you envisage where we are today? I mean, did you think we would be here today 5 years back?
I think when we started, of course, very hard to at that point think very long term and imagine how the world would be a few years out. I think it does take some amount of craziness and not overthinking to say that we will do this. We will actually change a large industry. Back then we used to think even a company like Just Dial is so large and already in this space, like how will we change anything? How will we get people to move from trusting friends and offline? So we didn't think exactly how things are going to pan out and exactly where we'll be in 5 years. We, with some irrational confidence, trusted ourselves that this problem is large enough to be solved. Every customer and person we know we meet is telling us, don't do fancy things. मेरी life में basic चीज़ें broken है. Just get that done. So we didn't think too much. At the same time, we had this hard to explain confidence that if we keep at it for long enough, we will be able to do it. And I think over time, both of these things just kept growing stronger. Of course, now we are at a point where we can imagine what things will be like a few years forward as well, and hence we do talk about what we want to build with UrbanClap over the next 3-4 years. Back then it was very hard.
Right. And I'm sure like all three of you have very different personalities, right? So coming together, brainstorming, you must have had those set of disagreements or arguments. Anything on that you want to talk about? And how do you solve for it basically?
Yeah, I think it's a very common thing. It's, I mean, not just three of us, we have this with anyone we work. I think one of your pre-questions was slitting throat level disagreements. Yeah, and I think those are fun, and I think those happen. That's a part of the journey. But the really interesting, the good thing is, no matter how many, whatever the decimal level inside a room is, and it evolves, right? Like I think when you don't know each other, those the output of those might seem a little loud. Soon you start to understand each other quite well. But I think the beauty for us as a team is as soon as we step out of that door, you basically just go out for a beer or you're basically best friends again. And I think the whole leadership for UrbanClap operates that way, where inside a room it's fine. Like you don't want to mask things, speak your mind, and those things can get loud. But hey, end of the day you're trying to pursue the same dream. We're here because it's a family, and that's the fun part.
Yeah, I'll add to that. I think so. See, I consider myself like a really calm and composed person, and generally, I've seen over the years that my role has evolved to sort of, when these two fight, that I have to be the calming voice in the room. I guess both of them really like to work with me. There's a lot of friction between them. It's tough, playing my role, breaking the ice between them. But yeah, I guess that's part of the co-founding responsibility. Yeah.
Abhiraj, have you ever asked yourself, if not UrbanClap, then what?
Yeah, I have actually asked myself this question. So I think, one answer is obviously, if not UrbanClap, you would have probably tried some other company, etc., etc. But let me answer the question that if not entrepreneurship, what would I have done?
Sure.
So I actually was relatively like enjoying myself at my time at consulting, and I think I probably would have continued in consulting if I had not managed to take the plunge into entrepreneurship. Probably would have continued in consulting for some more time, and my sense is, it's very difficult to tell, but my sense is eventually I would have wanted to move into private equity because it has more money.
Wow, thanks. We all grow as people. So with the past years, my question to you, Raghav, would be, how would you define your growth as a person with the growth of UrbanClap?
It's a very, very tough question. It's tough because I don't think we think that way, or at least it's been a long while since we think of how our growth trends. No, I think the more direct answer is all of us as leaders, as founders, and especially in these very fast journeys, and growth comes a lot more unstructured, and it's not as much of I want to grow a certain way. It's more of a I have to grow this way because this is what is needed for the business. And I think as founders, we've been forced, in a good way, we've been kind of pushed to grow and scale, right? So we'd have, now I think we'd have leaders who are a lot more experienced than us. We'd have teams which have just scaled in 5 years, right? And we've had to kind of go through all that leadership experience. No one necessarily telling us how to do things, or figuring out mentors for ourselves. And I think that's maybe the best articulation for personal growth. I think what moves us more is, end of the day, how the trajectory is moving, our small happiness in the small bits and pieces, which we thought, and those bets playing out in the long term. I think those are more core to central happiness beyond just, hey, this is how the business is going, this is how the team is going. What becomes very personal probably to all of us, at least to me, is seeing, and maybe that's more of a personal growth thing, is just seeing bets which you would have taken a long while back actually panning out towards actually achieving what you had in mind, like maybe a year back or 2 year back, because those become really tough. Everything else is pushed here and now. You need to do what is important and develop frameworks of teams to figure that out. So,
thank you, Raghav. Varun, when you think of growth, when you look at growth, what is the next milestone you want to achieve as a company in the next 1 year and then the next 5 years?
I think in the next 1 year, we have a certain strong rhythm and business established in India. We want to continue growing that business another 3 times over the next 12 months. We are in 14 cities in India. We probably go to 20 cities in the categories that we already do very well, beauty services at home and home care services. We want to really continue to grow and be relevant to many more households. We are also launching 2 new international geographies, so over the next 12 months we want to make that successful. 5 years is a long time. Like, a lot can be achieved in 5 years. In 5 years, we actually want most urban people in India to be using all services on UrbanClap only from UrbanClap. Like, there should not be many other ways of getting beauty and home services. Everybody should be using UrbanClap. That really is something we want to do in India and a few more countries.
Thank you. Well, I think the last question now to sign off would be to you, Abhiraj. How would you end this? What is the message you want to give across to everyone hearing this, including all the employees at UrbanClap?
Yeah, I think the message is simple. We have only just gotten started. It took us 2-3 years to figure out our act and understand what users want and how do we serve our users. And we have only really just gotten started. If you think about what we do, we sort of have the opportunity to enter the homes of users and offer a wide range of services, starting from something as simple as cleaning your home to maintenance of your home, to your own personal grooming, personal beauty services, all the way to even more complex services like home painting, etc., etc. So we are really a home experts company, and the world doesn't have a home experts company. So that's the space that we are filling up. I think it's a huge opportunity that we have, and I think we have a really long way to go as far as catering to consumers' expectations is concerned. And the good part, as Jeff Bezos says, is that consumers are perennially dissatisfied. When we started UrbanClap, maybe the experience that UrbanClap is offering today would have been a phenomenal experience. Today it's par for the course. So I guess my message is, we have to be humble. We have to be we have to be consumer first and service partner first. We have to sort of constantly be unsatisfied, just like our consumers. I think I was actually thinking about the first question that you asked, which is what's like a really happy moment in UrbanClap, and there hasn't really been one, and there will probably never be one, because I think the moment we're happy and we're satisfied, that's it, we're dead, right? Our consumers are not satisfied, and they will never be, and that's why we're in business, because they're not satisfied. If they were satisfied, then we would never acquire one more customer. We would only be as large as we are, because everybody else is satisfied with whatever is happening. And we have to be like 2x more unsatisfied with where we are as a company than sort of our consumers. So I think the one message that I would give is just be unsatisfied.
Thank you, Abhiraj. Thank you, Arun. Thank you, Raghav. You've summarized the journey of UrbanClap beautifully for all of us listeners and the viewers here. And thank you so much once again. Congratulations on completing 5 years.
To you too.
Each
To
one of us.
all of you.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.